All right. Good afternoon, councillors. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. Declare the meeting open at 5:01 p.m. I'd like to begin by an acknowledgement of country. We'd like to acknowledge the Ngadjuri and Kaurna people, the traditional custodians of the land and borders of the Light Regional Council area. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people present today. We have Councillor Simon, who's still on a leave of absence this evening. There are no apologies and there are no non-attendance. Just a request, councillors, before we begin, if we can all remember to come as close as possible to our microphones tonight when we're speaking, just so that everyone can hear. So there's a recommendation on the screen, request for a leave of absence from Councillor Colin between the 29th of June and the 8th of July. Would anyone like to move that? Thank you, Councillor Allison. Seconder. Councillor Dean, thank you. I think we'll just put that to a vote. All those in favour, all those against. Thank you, councillors. That's carried. Councillors, there's a recommendation on the screen that we the minutes and confidential minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the 24th of June be confirmed as a true and current record of that meeting. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Fabio. Councillor Lynette, the seconder. Councillors, will put that to a vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. There's a second recommendation on the screen that the minutes and confidential minutes of the meeting of the special council meeting of the 15th of July be confirmed as true and correct. Councillors, do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Dean. Thank you, Councillor Bill, seconded. We'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. That's carried unanimously. Councillors, I've summarised on the screen here communications for the month. I think there's a typo just up there that we'll fix. Thank you. Probably the key. Well, there's a number of key ones here. I won't go into detail on all of them. It was great to see some passionate members of our community giving a voice to concerns about the condition of the Sturt Highway between Kingston and Greenock. That was attended by various local members and federal member Tony Passon and received quite a lot of media coverage. There is a petition circulating in the community that I know some people are aware of. If you're so inclined, you might choose to support that petition. Monday, the CEO, yesterday, the CEO and I attended a meeting of the Northern Growth Areas Collaboration. I need to add Adelaide Plains Council to that as well. My apologies, Caitlin, they attended as well. It was a good discussion. There'll be some further information that'll be brought to council about what the purpose of this group is. I believe that'll probably come in August. But it's really centred around, we know that the growth is coming in the region, in Roseworthy and Concordia, which Craig's put a report together for this evening. And it's really about getting councils to think regionally and strategically about how we best deal with that growth and work together to get the best outcomes for our community. Yesterday I also met with Sandra, who put forward a petition on public transport in Kapunda. And she's quite passionate about that issue. And I think it's something that maybe we can consider in a future council meeting. Councillors, are there any other communications that you'd like to raise this evening? All right, we'll move on. Item 4.2, there's no documents or correspondence to be tabled. There are no petitions, deputations and presentations. There's no adjourned business. So we're then moving to our action items. We'll just do this page by page, councillors. So are there any questions in relation to page 4? Councillor Bill.
Yeah, just thanks. Well, just the Angeville Bridge, we're expecting an update. Do we know when that update's going to occur?
Through the chair, it has been considered by the City of Playford, but they have yet to provide me with some written confirmation of the outcome.
Anything further, Councillor Bill? Thank you. Okay, moving on to page 5. Sorry, not page 5. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. And finally, page 11. Thank you, councillors, and we'll move on. Item 9, there are no recommendations from committees. Item 10 is the infrastructure and sustainability reports for the monthly update here from Jason. Megan, would you or anyone in your team like to provide anything further on this?
No further comment, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Mike. Yeah, just it's great to see the roads all graded. Is there a plan to do them again before the things dry out, or what is the situation? I mean, they're in. You know, how do we work that? The grading, yeah.
As part of our program, we're continually assessing the roads that are required to be graded, and we will look at the priority basis and also where the grader may be within that area. So there is opportunity to have them graded again with the current weather we have is good.
Thanks, Councillor Bill and Megan. Councillors, there's a recommendation on the screen that Council receives these reports and the contents therein be noted. Councillor Lynette, I think, moved that, and Councillor Peter was a seconder. Thank you. Would anyone like to speak to that? No. I think we'll put that to a vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. There's no strategy and economic development report for this month. Excuse me. So we then move into reports for information. Item 12.1 is the CEO's monthly report. Richard, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, nothing further to add.
Thank you. Councillors, any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Item 12.2 is a report in response to the petition that we received last month for Mildred Street. I think it's a really good report. Thank you. It's proactive and it sort of puts it in front of council to consider what it might like to do if it would like to do something in response to the petition. Councillors, do you have any questions or comments? Councillor Dean?
I have a motion without notice, wondering whether it be appropriate to bring it forward to consider as part of this item.
Thank you, Councillor Dean. I think, given that it relates to this item, I think that would be appropriate. Thank you for that. So councillors, Councillor Dean, you're moving this motion. Yeah, Councillor Dean, thank you. Has put forward a motion calling for a report on what options or what things could be done to improve Mildred Street. Would you like to speak to that motion, councillor Dean?
Only to say it picks up on the outcomes suggested in the report, and I did circulate that to all members, so you hopefully had a bit of a chance to think about it and ask any questions if you've got any. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Dean. Councillor Collins? Thank you. Would you like to speak to it, councillor Collins?
No, I'll just support. We've got to do something about Mildred Street. It's in a poor state of repair. So, you know, for all the reasons that were written in the petition. So, we've got to, I'm fully supportive of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think anything that we could do to improve accessibility on Mildred Street would be greatly appreciated. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to the motion? In that case, we'll put it to a vote. Sorry, do we want to note the seconder? Okay, I'll come through. Yep. We'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, item 12.3 is the quarterly update for the capital renewal program, which again is a comprehensive report outlining some of the good work we've done over the past year from the previous budget. Megan, would anyone in your team like to speak to the report?
Thank you through the chair. Hopefully the report speaks for itself unless there's any questions.
Councillor, is there any questions in relation to this report? Councillor Bill?
Yeah, more of a comment than a question. Jason's there, isn't he? Yeah, I went through around the Wasleys Oval the other day, and I remember what Wasleys Oval was like 20 years ago when there's a little old shed which is collapsing in the corner, and it's fabulous. That setup there, the new change rooms is tremendous, and I was blown away by the playgrounds and the pump park and all the stuff. It's just astounding from where it was to what it is now. So congratulations to the team. It's a tremendous effort. And the other stuff looks good too, but I was blown away by Wasleys.
Thank you, Councillor Bill. Right, we'll move on to sorry, I'll get there. So that's the end of the reports for information, councillors. There's a recommendation on the screen that those reports be received in the contents noted. Do I have a mover of that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Dean. Second is Councillor Peter. Put that to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you. All right, councillors, so we're now moving to reports for decision. Item 13.1 is draft code of practice for access to council and committee meetings and documents. Public consultation. Corey, is there anything that you'd like to add to this one? Councillors, do you have any questions in relation to this recommendation? It's effectively calling for public consultation on those changes. I think it's pretty straightforward. Do I have a mover? Councillor Lynette. Seconder is Councillor Fabio. We'll put that to a vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Councillors, item 13.2 is Gawler River Stormwater Management Plan. This report's been prepared by Richard. Would you like to speak to it at all, Richard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to speak to in relation to this report, but I can give an update in relation to a previous report which does relate to this matter, which you may recall we had a report and motion relating to the Adelaide Hills Council, and for them looking to withdraw themselves from the Gawler River Flood Management Authority. The Minister has received all of Council's input, and the Minister has made a determination that Adelaide Hills Council will remain within the Gawler River Flood Management Authority on the basis that everybody who is in the catchment should be a member and should equally contribute to the business case, which we're trying to get up and running at the moment. I will circulate that letter to you very soon. But yeah, other than that, that's probably just a bit of an update that hadn't come through at the time of writing the report.
Thanks, Richard. Councillors, any further questions on that? There's a recommendation then on the screen. Do I have a mover of that recommendation? Sorry, Councillor Collins, microphone.
I thought it was complete, the business case.
The business case includes all the approaches to federal trying to seek funding as well.
So the plan's done, but the case, they're trying to get it together.
Correct, yeah. It'd be the grant funding that they're trying to work their way through. Yeah, you're right. The plans are completed of what is being proposed.
Right, yeah.
Thanks, Richard and Councillor Collins. Do I have a mover of this recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Dean, I think, and seconded by Councillor Bill. We'll put that to a vote then. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Councillors, item 13.3 is a review of the cemeteries management policy, interment right policy and memorials policy. You might recall that this council resolved to waive fees for certain children, and there's also some other amendments here. Is there any update to this that we need to consider, or any further discussion on it?
Through the chair, the changes are minimal, but they do include waiving fees for children who are residing within the area. Those fees were updated within the fees and charges register already, and the policy just reinforces the direction.
Yeah, no, I think that was foreshadowed when we passed that resolution. Councillors, are there any questions? Do I have a mover of this recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Fabio. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Allison. Would anyone like to speak on this? We'll put that to a vote then. Sorry, Councillor Collins.
I'd just like to comment, I did notice quite a few other councils are starting to take it up as well. There's been a bit of media around it, so I think we've done the right thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a small thing that we can do in a very difficult situation. We'll put that to a vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Item 13.4 is a report for decision on the future projects roadmap with some proposals to make some changes to road classifications, which is all fairly self-explanatory in the report that Jason's put together. Jason, would you like to talk to this at all, or?
No further comments. Thanks.
Councillors, do you have any questions in relation to this recommendation? Councillor Dean?
In relation to the priorities of the roads, if other information comes to light about any particular road, I assume that at that time the priorities could be reviewed.
Through the chair, yes. So we have this register, and as other roads come onto it, they'll be assessed and added to this, and the priority will be adjusted to suit.
Thanks, Megan and Councillor Dean. Councillors, is there a mover for this recommendation? Thank you, councillor Collins. Second, councillor Dean. Thank you, councillor Annette. Would anyone like to speak to it? Councillor Dean and councillor Annette. Yep. Would anyone like to speak to it? Put that to a vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Item 13.5, excuse me, is a report prepared by Sky for the event sponsorship program, Community Pride Events 2025-2026. There's a list here of various events in the region that it's recommended that council will authorise the CEO or a delegate to invite those groups to participate. Sky, would you like to speak to this?
Through the chair, yes, thank you. I have had confirmation that the Kapunda Christmas Street Party Committee is an offset now of KBA, of the Kapunda Business Alliance, and the Wasleys Community Association will be running a Christmas party as well.
Councillor Bill?
Yeah, really a question, Mr Mayor. They're inviting and they give you what money they want, and because we've got you're allocating 42,000, but you haven't said where it's going to. Is that the way it works?
I was awaiting whether the Kapunda Business Alliance would be taking the Kapunda Christmas Street Party and also Wasleys Community Group. So I was awaiting that, so I can give the funding to everyone of how it will go out. Yep. Now okay. Okay, for the Remembrance Day Greenock, they get $250 cash and there's $1,500 for traffic management. For Freeling, Kapunda and Wasleys is also $250 plus $1,500 for traffic management. For the Freeling Christmas Street Party, $4,000 cash and $5,000 for the traffic management. The Christmas on the Park Greenock, $3,000 cash and $500 for their traffic management. The Kapunda Christmas Street Party, $4,000 cash and $5,000 for traffic management. The Wasleys Christmas Party is $2,000 cash and $500 for traffic management. And then the Anzac Day for Freeling, Kapunda and Greenock, $250 cash and $3,000 for traffic management. And for the Wasleys, $250 cash and $1,500 for traffic management.
Just a question or maybe an observation. Was there no approach from any groups in Roseworthy?
No.
No. Okay. Councillor Collins? You'll move that. Would you like to speak to it? Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Ellison. Would you like to speak to it? No. Anyone else, councillors? We'll put that to a vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you for that, Sky. Councillors, item 13.6 is a recommendation in relation to the management of the Freeling Institute and the management agreement. The recommendation is fairly straightforward, although noting council has previously received some correspondence on this issue. Megan, would you like to speak to this at all?
Thank you through the chair. No, unless there's any questions.
Okay, thanks, Megan. Councillors, are there any questions just in relation to this recommendation or the report? Councillor Collins? You'll move it. Would you like to speak to it?
It's been here before and it's keeps coming back, the same recommendations. I'm confident that it's been well looked into and hopefully it's the right result and yeah, hopefully it goes well.
Sure. Thank you, councillor Collin. Councillor Peter, you were seconding that. Would you like to speak to it?
I will say that it's very welcome to see that, or two things. Firstly, that Freeling RSL has a base to operate from, and the other thing is that with their numbers and the personnel that they have, they'll do a very good job of administering it.
Thank you, councillor Peter. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this recommendation? Councillor Lynette?
I did have phone calls about it from a ratepayer, which I think Megan is aware of. You're not. David, oh, what's his name?
Mitchell.
Yeah. He is objecting to it, but I think it's just because they have that stuck in their head that they don't want the RSL to manage it, and they still want to manage it, and there's a whole lot of things going on there that's, I won't say the word, but anyhow, yes, so I'm just happy the way Megan's written that report. Yeah.
Thank you, Lynette. I guess in any case, it does bring it to a conclusion.
Yes,
So
it does.
yeah. All right, councillors, then we'll put this to a vote. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Councillors, we now move into the supplementary agenda, of which there were 2 items. The first item deals with the Concordia Code Amendment submission that Craig and his team have put together on behalf of the council. It's a comprehensive response. Craig, would you like to speak to it at all?
Didn't have anything to add through the chair. Acting Mayor Michael, I'm happy to answer or respond to any questions though. It is comprehensive. It's a large scale project, let's be honest, on our doorstep. So I've tried to pick up the key areas of interest for us. Thank you.
The one thing is it right to say that there's no direct connection between Hewitt and Concordia?
So through the chair, yeah, there's no direct connection. There is, in the concept plan, you might have seen a proposal for a potential future link, which if you're looking at the concept plan, comes across the North Para River, but doesn't actually show a connection through to the Sturt Highway. So that's one of the points that we've raised. But yeah, no, the fact is it would simply be on the other side from Hewitt as proposed in its current form.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, Concordia will have far more services than already exist in Hewitt, including a secondary school, if I recall. And so this will only add to the traffic complaints that the town of Gawler already have. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. But anyway, it's a good submission that you put together. Councillors, any other questions on the submission? In that case, do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Collin, thank you. And Councillor Bill, I think, seconded it. Would anyone like to speak to it?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's really a question. The North Para river passage running down to Hewitt. Are we liable to get, we've always had trouble with the northern side of the North Para section, the ownership of it and so forth. Is that going to, we're going to have foreseeable problems with that with a large population next door to it? Is that going to be an ongoing concern?
Sorry, through the chair, I might need you to elaborate on the problems. Are you talking north of the Eastie Dam or?
Oh, it's Phillips, wasn't it? The land's owned, was it Phillips, who owns the land there? He's,
Oh, in our area?
yeah, in our area. I'm talking about in our area,
Mm.
but it's a very steep area there along the riverbank. And I mean, I foresee more public usage of it and you know, that sort of thing, disposal of
again,
rubbish and stuff.
Suggested in the submission that we perhaps look at or that it be looked at to have at least a pedestrian connection between Concordia and Hewitt. At the moment, there wouldn't be a direct link back across to the land that you're talking about. It would still sit, that particular parcel would still be the environment and food production areas as it currently stands. So, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily see a direct impact. But having said that, without knowing what happens with the freight route and going from there, there is an unanswered question about what happens with the land in between, which would yet to be resolved on current information at least.
Yeah, I foresee there's going to be some debate and discussion about that Phillips land particularly if there's another access to Sturt Highway and more traffic in that area. It's going to be a little bit of a problem for us down the track. I think.
To respond to that, I think the growth, if there is a connection that comes through, well, I'm suggesting there should be a connection that comes through for a number of reasons. But yeah, I think that will open up an opportunity to revisit that particular land and other parcels in terms of what their opportunities might be for down the track. Yeah.
Thanks, councillor Bill and Craig. So councillors, we've got a mover and a seconder. If there's no other questions or comments, we'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Councillors, the second item was a submission on the engineering requirements for land division. Craig, is there any further updates to this one?
Through the chair, thank you. No further updates on this one.
Thank you, Craig. Councillors, are there any questions? No. In that case, do I have a mover? Thank you, councillor Dean. Secondary is councillor Fabio. We'll put that then to a vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Councillors, are there any questions? There are no questions on notice. Are there any questions without notice? No. There are three motions on notice this evening. The first one, excuse me, is a motion that I've brought forward in relation to the land that council's recently purchased at Freeling. And I intend to move this motion. I've gone into some discussion about the reasons for it. I think council should consider what land it has and what it's using it for. We've purchased this land. I see it as an opportunity to try and alleviate some of the housing stress that we have in our region. I know that council has expressed before that it didn't want to play an interventionist role in the market. All I'm suggesting here is, there are a number of possibilities, including, for example, partnering with the state government or others. There's various success stories here that I've listed out in South Australia where South Australian councils have done this. In fact, when I was in Orroroo recently, even Orroroo Council, with a rate revenue of about $2.5 or $3 million per year, is developing a significant subdivision with, in a partnership with the state government. Now, that may not be the appetite of this council, but maybe we can think a little bit differently, or maybe we won't. But in any case, that's the purpose of my motion this evening, is to call for a report on, what we could do, I guess, as a test case with the land at Freeling, and potentially other council land. So I'll move that motion. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Peter. Would you like to speak to it? No? Okay. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this motion? No, we'll put that to a vote then. Oh, sorry, Councillor Bill.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I mean, the gist of it is good, but I do feel that as we mentioned the previous motion, we weren't keen as a council to be involved in this sort of area, given that, we've got a lot of development going on already and a lot of housing situations coming up. And I mean, the areas you've talked about are all outer country areas that are looking for housing and growth, and we've got that growth. And I don't know that our ratepayers would be that keen on funding this sort of development, particularly in the current phase of things. But I would like to see options for the land that we've got would be a good option, a good thing to have. Just I'm not quite sure about particularly focusing on the affordable housing. It's interesting in Craig's report about Concordia, they've got a 15% requirement for low and affordable housing in the Concordia development. So that's something we can do with little cost to our council. So that would be my feeling. I'm just not comfortable with our council funding this sort of housing development. But I would like to see options for that area, because it's a valuable piece of land on that fronting the roadway.
Thanks, Councillor Bill. And just to be clear, I'm not suggesting council should be funding anything, but there are grants available, and I guess that's what I would like the staff to investigate. But I fully respect your view, Councillor Dean.
We've seen recently the long-term financial plan and the financial pressure that we are under just to deliver the infrastructure that is actually our direct responsibility. So I'm inclined to support Bill's view, Councillor Bill's view of this, that we should resist spending money or resources, I should say, which could be money or it could be an extensive use of staff time. So, like Councillor Bill, I think it's an important area, but it's not our, by any means, our core business. There are other people who use work in that area, and we don't want to neglect some of the important things we have to do or put up rates to cover it. That's why I think we should treat this with considerable caution.
Thank you, Councillor Dean. Anyone else? Councillor.
Yes, I agree with Councillor Rowlack's ideas. I think that we should just go down another track with whatever else we want to do it, and not put in ourselves into this. I just wondered, I can't remember whether the grants are substituted, or would they just be straight out, or would they have they got you have to put in a certain amount to get it?
Thanks, Councillor Lynette. I think that would be, ultimately, if this is supported, then that would be part of any report that would come back to the council in terms of whether council needs to make a contribution or whether it's just the land or whatever. But I think whatever we decide with this, I think at some point we're going to have to turn our minds to what we're doing with this piece of land and other pieces of land that the council has. Councillor Collins.
Yeah, I agree with Bill. Like Tatiara, they've got a slaughterhouse down there that, they're basically all the rental properties have been taken, so they've got nowhere for the police and emergency service people to live. So they're building houses for that. I know that Orroroo's building housing up there for similar reasons. So we haven't got a shortage of. We have got a shortage of houses, but we are getting people employed in these filling these gaps. But I think it's a bit of a problem when we bought the land with no plan with what to do with it. So I actually would like to see a motion that actually says that this could maybe an option, but an option of what we do with it, because we've actually at the moment we've got $500,000 worth of land and we've got no plan. So I wouldn't mind if we could maybe amend this motion and have a motion with A in it, and also maybe or any other thing we can do with it, because at the moment we're sitting on we're just land banking it, and it'd be good to have some options in the future, or so I'd rather see a broader motion than this. This seems a bit too tight to me. I'd rather have a look at all options.
Yeah, look, I think I said just before that if the appetite, and when I turned my mind to this, I did reflect on the views that the council expressed previously on playing a more active role in this. So I think if there isn't support for a narrow motion around affordable housing, then some sort of a decision or plan is needed for what we do with this land, ultimately. So, and I guess if a report comes back to the council that considers A as well as other options, then I think that that's a good balance. So I'm happy to amend this on those lines.
That's a
Councillor Dean?
that could be, if you and the seconder are both happy to change it, then you could easily do it that method rather than do it as a formal amendment. But either way is okay.
Councillor Peter, are you happy with a broader motion? Yep. Okay. Sorry, I should have asked. Thank you, Councillor Dean.
That'll be just adding another paragraph that says and any other options for the land.
Yeah, I think that's right, and probably an amendment to that opening paragraph, which does narrow it to around housing, so it's as housing or some other use. Okay. So I think as options to use recently, I think we can put a full stop at the end of Freeling and remove the remaining text, and then continue with the report should consider amongst other things. And then if we add D, and options, whether such as consideration for other land uses other than affordable housing. I guess I think that probably broadens it enough.
Mr Mayor, does B need to be there? Do we take that out as well? Because that is a bigger ask for the staff to give a report on that. It's quite a bit of work for them to do that. I would think that option.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think it'd be good to understand the grant, the partnership picture with the state and the grant funding. I think that would be enough. I agree. I think B probably broadens the scope of it. take B out, C becomes B and D becomes C, I think. Thank you. Okay. All right, so that varied motion has been moved and seconded. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this before I put it to a vote? We'll put it to a vote then. All those in favour? All those against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Councillors, the next motion is calling for a report on options. On road use and options for safety improvements on Forest Road, Pinkerton Plains. So this is based on feedback from the community, one community member in particular. Councillors, sorry, I'll move this motion. And I'm moving it on the basis that the person that's raised this with me is quite passionate about it. And I'd just like to see some data on it to understand whether or not it's a broader community issue or not. Thank you, Councillor Allison. Would you like to speak to it? Councillor Collin?
Yeah, I've just got a question. So what's the road usage? We must have some numbers on it, surely, but we must have a bit of an idea of the traffic volume at the moment. I'm sure that's done. So is there anything we got or not?
Megan?
Through the chair, I don't have access to the traffic counts at this time, but there is actually a report foreshadowed for next month on Forest Road.
Or can we just wait until, so this will just be the same report?
Through the chair, it was, we're putting up Wasleys Road next month and we're going to put Forest Road with it and a range of other roads on our upgrade list. Yes, it'll address all these points. Still put your motion up. It'll be considered as that one report.
Sure. Okay. Well, then I'll move it on that basis then. Thank you, Councillor Allison. We'll put that to a vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Councillors, the final motion on notice is just in relation to speed limits along Muddlewera Road. There's varied feedback on this. I've had phone calls, engagement on social media about it. There are people that would like to see the speed limit on Muddlewera Road reduced. There are people who are of the opinion that it doesn't need to change, but there are isolated areas along Muddlewera Road that present safety concerns. Council, as I understand it, can't unilaterally determine that it's going to change any speed limits, but we could, I guess, put a case forward if it was inclined to do so, or whatever the report comes back as to DIT, if we think that's what needs to happen. So I think we just need to understand, the data and the engineering behind it, and then, we can act on it or go out for community consultation or whatever as a next step. So I'll move that motion. Councillor Allison, would you like to?
I'm happy to second it, but just to talk on that. So the speed limit in front of the university is 60. Very rarely anybody does 60. You take your life into your hands if you're crossing the road to the other side of the university to the houses that are on the opposite side. The university, I know, has contacted SAPOL and asked for some more police attendance in that area, and to date we haven't had a response to that request at the minute, so it could be somewhere in the pipeline. But the 100 zone, as I've mentioned before, that comes down to the Red Banks intersection from Malala and turns right. So it's a 100 zone along there. And as you're coming along Muddlewira Road doing 100, you'll get a semi-trailer that pulls out in front of you, or a caravan or somebody, and they go along at 5 k's an hour. So I am waiting for an accident to happen there. I've seen quite a few near misses. I've been in a couple near misses myself, because coming from Gawler, turning to go to Malala or going ahead, and if you're behind a truck, they don't see you actually behind that truck. So they think, oh, they can pull straight out in front. You're doing 100 behind the truck, and all of a sudden you're in a T-bone effect. So yeah, I really think that needs to be looked at. I did fill in a form to DET Roads about no stop sign there at that intersection, because people just roll through and then turn out in front, and they don't seem to know that it's a 100 zone. So it's quite dangerous in that stretch, and it's used a lot. You know, we've got a lot of students going to the university every day. I am concerned that there's going to be something there at some point, and I hope that it doesn't happen, but I've seen, as I said, a few near misses. So yeah, either that speed limit needs to come down, or we need to do something a bit better at that, especially that intersection, as well as, well, no one's doing 60 past the college anyway out there. So
Because we feel like we've had a report before on the intersection at Red Banks Road. Does that ring a bell? No. Okay. Thought we had.
I have spoken to Megan about it previously. We've had some discussion, but not through, just off about that intersection.
Yeah, I might be thinking of Clancy Road, maybe. Annie Terrace, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So that's, yeah, I guess that's what, yeah, that's the feedback that we're acting. As I said, the feedback's mixed. So anyway, let's just maybe understand the problem if everyone agrees. But any other questions or comments?
Just back to that. So I wouldn't mind adding in that intersection part there of Red Banks
Road,
Muddlewira, just to be included in that, because yeah, I do see it to be dangerous.
Sorry, Corey. That's fine with me. Thank you.
So I'd just like to add in along Muddlewira Road to Red Banks Road.
Sorry, did you want to focus on the conditions at the intersection itself, Councillor Ellison?
Yeah, maybe because it is the speed limit, but it is the intersection, so it's both. Because as I said, it's a 100 zone along Red Banks carrying into Muddlewira, but it's also that intersection, and it's not, as I said, not a good intersection because there's no stop sign coming from the Malala intersection part there. You can just pull straight out. And now that we've done up the road, that intersection is really very bad, as in it's all uneven, and we've got a beautiful new stretch. But when you get there, it's not great either for that speed.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Councillor Bill, did you have something to add?
You could probably say signage of the Red Banks Road intersection, couldn't you? Speed and signage and the signage and speed at the Red Banks Road intersection.
Yeah, so you can review of speed limits along Muddlewira Road. I think including on the approach to Red Banks Road and consideration of
It's got a giveaway sign there, hasn't it?
road signage. Yeah.
I've just got a question.
Councillor Collins.
So we get this report done, so you find out the speed limit and the signage and then what do you do?
You have to take it to the department, is that right, Megan?
When we get our assessment undertaken, we will, if there are items required for us to complete, which is part of our project anyway, we will complete them on Muddlewera Road. Where it's the intersection or on Redbanks Road is a responsibility of the department, and we'll take that through to DIT.
Are you doing this already, Megan? Like this stuff, like we've just done up the road, this would have been a review of the signage and everything when we did it. If there's people speeding in front of the university, which there have been for the last 50 years, if the police aren't there, well, what are we worried? That's a policing matter rather than it's a compliance problem, not a, so is this just going to be a waste of time or?
As part of our review for all of our projects, like our road projects, we do have an independent assessment undertaken to make sure, I guess all the signage is all correct in the line marking. And if that comes back with something we might have missed, then we'll implement that change. So we still do that as part of our quality control process, and we'll ask them to include the intersection as part of that process. They're actually already been booked in. They haven't gone out as yet. That'll help us with the report.
But that's not,
report, at least you've got your information, you've got your answer then.
but that review typically wouldn't be an assessment of the speed limits. It would be an assessment of whether you've put the signs in the right places and the line markings right, and it's compliant to the drawings. And the grant funding was to upgrade, it was to seal the road. It wasn't to undertake a review of the speed limits and road conditions. Is that fair to say?
Correct, but we'll include speed limits as part of our assessment as well. Sorry, no, I should add that the speed limits are actually determined by DIT anyway. We don't have a say in what the speed limit is. There's a criteria and assessment process for that.
Yes, Alison.
Just further to that, so further down Redbanks Road and Gawler Belt, so it's still 100 all the way along. It's 100 all the way along there. And the other year tried to get that reduced back to 80 with DIT, and we didn't get anywhere with that. That was with the previous council. Yeah, and that really needs to get changed because it's terribly dangerous now with all the extra people living in Gawler Belt, especially coming off Clancy Road. It's still 100 there, and they just pull out in front and don't realise, I think, that it's 100. And yeah, some of those big cattle road trains, and you get a school person coming out doing, 20 k's an hour. That whole section is quite dangerous.
All right, councillors. So there is a motion on the screen that's been moved and seconded. We'll just wait for Councillor Dean. We'll put that to a vote then. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Councillors, are there any motions without notice? No? Right, so we'll move into the confidential items. There will be a motion without notice for consideration, but that will form part of the confidential session of the council. Thank you. To move into confidence. Yeah, councillors, do I have a mover to move into confidence and a seconder? Councillor Dean, thank you. And Councillor Peters, second. We'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? It's carried. All right, just need to call time for